Cardinals.
Thank you all. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Dan. Let's give them a big hand of applause. Call this quarterly meeting of the Westminster Residents Association membership to order. I believe we have a quorum. Thank you all for coming, and I think we'll have an informative and interesting program for you today. You have been notified of the selection of the nominating committee to propose a slate of officers for the Residents Association at the December annual meeting. So the members of the committee are Ken Ashworth, Bess Dennison, Carol Cook, and Bob Rudeshauser and myself, and we would welcome your suggestions for persons that you would like to be considered for a position as a member of the executive committee of the Residents Association. So we will be accepting those for the next several weeks. Another thing I'd like to announce is to remind you, if you haven't already bought your copy of the Writer's Journal, we'd very much encourage you to do that. They're on sale at the little store, $15 for a regular edition, $17.50 for the large print, and I think you will enjoy it. This is the third edition, the third volume we put out, and our ability to put out one in 2022, it depends on the sales from this edition, because we're a self-sustaining group. But your friends and neighbors have participated in the preparation of the journal, and so while I'm saying, everybody here who has a piece in the journal or who has worked on the sales or promotion or editing of the journal, let's stand up. Would you stand up so we can see you all? Everybody doesn't have something to do with the journal. Thank you to each one of you, and I think you'll find it enjoyable. So are there any Westminster board members present today to be recognized? As I know Diana was talking. Diana Denito, did you make it? I don't see any.
David Redding.
Who's back there?
David Redding.
David Redding is here. Thank you, David, for coming. As you know, the Board of Directors is the governing body for Westminster. The Residents Association is the represents the interests of the residents, and we function through our committees. And so if you are interested in participating in the work of the Residents Association, please go on the portal or contact a member of the executive committee and find a committee that will be interesting to you. The committees will all be reformed after the first of the year, but it's still possible, still time to get on one and attend some meetings and get involved with what's going on. I'd like to take a minute to congratulate the members of the Hidden Treasures Committee for their continued success. Their last sale and their last trunk sale, which was held in this room, were big successes. So thank you all. Let's give the Hidden Treasures Committee. They're the source of much of our funding. And let me see. And this is Mary Bowles' penultimate treasurer's report, as she's going to be leaving the treasurer's job on December 31st. So this and the next one are the only two opportunities we're going to have to hear from Mary as treasurer. So I'm happy to call on her to make a report. Mary Bowles.
My dear students,
It thrills my heart to see so many of you in class today. I'm sure you brought your homework with you. I know you want to make teacher happy. So, the last class we had $21,117 in the bank. Now, income, we all like to talk about income. Interest was $365. We won't talk too much about the rate. Hidden treasures is especially glorious. $2,779, so a total income of $3,144. Now we have to talk about expense. But that's what we're here for, to spend for worthwhile projects for us. We'll start with sales tax on that hidden treasures, $148. The magnificent banner with Pat Wright makes so cleverly each month was $512. We get this in the big print edition, which saves our precious little eyes. New library books were greeted by the new librarian, Ann Harkness, so to the tune of $316. $172 went for printing of internet booklets. We gave $360 to the Westminster Friendship Fund. If you don't know what that is, just ask. And I hope you got the same total that I did, $1,508. Now we could call those items debits and credits, but let's don't confuse ourselves. They are income and expense. So income minus expense is a net of $1,635. So again, let's don't get too involved in serious stuff. Just know that it's a special account on the balance sheet where we're holding $904, which is sales minus expense of the Writer's Journal. Now, finally, we have a fine bank balance of $21,200. And I know you're not forgetting those 3 precious CDs we have. 12,500 times 3 does happen to be 37,500. You'll all agree, I'm sure, with that. Thus ended the treasurer's report, and all of you passed the test. However, a final test. Please understand this is a math problem. And it mentions an institution which holds a special place in my heart. I have many relations, so please understand that. Now, there once was a lad named Leroy. Leroy came from Marathon, Texas, a good old West Texas boy. He had chosen to attend Texas A&M. It came graduation time. Leroy was unfortunately not about to graduate. However, at the ceremony, the president gave him one last chance. Leroy, if you get this right, you can graduate. What is 2 plus 2? Leroy said, 4. With that, all the Aggies jumped up. Give him another chance.
Thank you, Mary. We're going to miss you. At this time, I'd like to recognize you residents who have moved into Westminster since our last quarterly meeting in April. So I'm going to call your name if you're present, and I certainly hope you are. Wave so we can recognize you, and then when you're all introduced, we'll give you all a round of applause. There's 10 of you, so some are couples, so there's more than 10. So when I call your name, if you're here, please stand up. Kathy and Bernie McIntyre, are you here? Kathy and Bernie? Give a wave. Yeah, thank you. Jim Ray Hudson. Is Jim Ray Hudson here? Don't see him. Nancy Cooper. Is Nancy here? You can't vote if you're not present. Inda Shirley, is Inda here?
She's back there.
She's way in the back.
Right in the back. Can you stand up, Inda?
She is standing up.
She is.
Glad to have you. That sounds, reminds me of my old Dan True joke. Jim Shipman, Jim here? Mary Lee Baker. Mary Lee? Carolyn Faisal. Irene Parker. They obviously missed this part about free drinks and food. Sarah and Bernie Schiff. Here they are, right here, on the front row. Welcome. And Harriet and Jerry Williams. Are Harriet and Jerry here? Let's give them all a round of applause. And when you see these people, please make them welcome. They may be wearing their new resident name tags. If they're not, well, try to remember them anyway and say hello. The next item on the agenda is a report from Jill Losey, chair of the Residents Appreciation Fund. Jill, my goodness, look at you.
Oh yeah, I saw a candy cane out.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and especially to our newest residents who now have become part of our family. You may be wondering about my outfit and thinking it might be a little early for such attire. Well, not at Westminster, for this is the official kickoff week to begin our Residents Appreciation Fundraiser, which we call RAF, R-A-F. By now, I hope you've seen the candy canes displayed, read your banner cover page, opened your monthly billing statement, and read your Christmas letter. I'm going to touch on some highlights that are very important to the success of this fundraiser. Our committee, who I will introduce shortly, met in August. We set a goal of $200,000. And this is the same goal we set last year, and with your help, actually exceeded by a little bit that amount. We have approximately 284 associates. The money we collect is distributed evenly and adjusted only for the service of time in 1 year. To reach our goal, we're asking each resident, not apartment, but each resident, to donate $500. That is a tip of less than $1.50 a day for all the services that were provided. And this seems really unreal to me, but shows that what we can do as a united community. Many residents often give more than they can, and we so greatly appreciate. For those who cannot give this amount or have been a resident less than a year, please give as much as you can or an amount you feel comfortable giving. Now, this fundraiser is once a year activity of the Westminster Residents Association, a qualified tax exempt entity. That means your donation may be tax deductible to the extent allowed by the law. You will receive a donation letter for your records at the end of the year or early 2022. Please, please know that your donation is kept confidential. I'd like to introduce the excellent 2021 RAB committee. First of all, to Boyd Taylor, for all your support and creative inspirations, we say thank you. You have been amazing. inviting us. The board, when I call the board, the folks' names, if you would just stand, this way, if you see our board members here and there, you have questions, you can ask them anything. If they don't know all the answers, we're gonna find out for you, so you have them. First of all, Cynthia Leach, Gail Ross, Jer Smith is not here today, Sharon Verlander, and Paul Youngdale. Small group but powerful. Santa has elves to help him, but we have a hard-working team along with the committee who deserve a great deal of credit. Our thanks to Ruth Sanil, Sarah Lloyd, Michelle Holman, Brian Warwick, let me turn my notes over here, Maria Alberta, Sheldon Lloyd, Pat Wright, Paul Lehman, and all the receptionists. And so there is a team behind the whole committee. Now, a very important point. We must have the checks in no later than November 30th so we can process them and ready for delivery to the associates on a timely basis. Please place your check in the envelope provided that came along with your Christmas letter with my name and hand it to any receptionist. Many of you have placed them in my mail cubby and slid it under my door, which is absolutely fine. And actually, this is really a happy, happy day for me already because I have received 22 envelopes as of 1 o'clock today, so we're on a roll. Now, each Sunday, members of our community will adjust the candy cane thermometers, and believe me, the staff looks at that every Monday morning. So wishing and hoping and that it's going to go up each week, each Sunday, and it usually does. And then on 1890, we'll keep you posted on progress also. A little story I want to tell you. A couple of years ago when we were able to have a big party for all of our associates, something that touched my heart was that one of our associates came up, and when I handed her her check, she had tears in her eyes and she said, "My children can now have a Merry Christmas." So the monies we give as a community have long-range happiness to many. So thank you once again for gifting our associates and show them how much we appreciate and all that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, and I don't need to add my endorsement to the RAF campaign, but I will anyway, because I think it's an extraordinary thing that service that we get from our associates, and this is the one way we have of rewarding them monetarily, because we're not permitted to tip them individually. And as Jill said, the associates receive the same amount regardless of their level in the organization, and all of them are rewarded if they're below the leadership team level. So we're rewarding the people who we see every day who do the work, and those we don't see, but we see the results of their work. So I certainly encourage you to be generous again this year. The next item on the agenda is a report from the Food Committee by Bobby Collins. Bobby?
Hello. I have a letter here that I would like to read to all of you, and it's a letter from Chuck, and it is making us aware of all of the changes that have been made in our food service, our menu changes and so forth. And this letter will be put in your box sometime today or tomorrow. Dear residents, the dining service team extends its gratitude for your continued support and understanding as we navigate through the unprecedented time. The time has led us to respond promptly and strategically to focus on our priority of creating and maintaining the finest dining experience you will find in any Austin senior living community. Demand, and this is something that I certainly didn't realize that it was had affected us this much. Demand on the current supply chain is exceeding capacity, causing prices for key goods to climb amid tight supply. The price of meat has risen 80% in a matter of months. And the cost of produce has increased significantly. A single case of avocados, and how many times have I said I'd like double avocado? A single case of avocado rose from $32.50 to $82. Additionally, a nationwide labor shortage of delivery truck drivers has led to service disruptions, and the challenges the largest food distributors are facing are influencing Westminster's receipt of deliveries. Historically, Westminster received 6 deliveries per week, and we are now receiving 3 deliveries per week. The challenges the supply chain is experiencing has led Westminster to adjust menu options. We have added a 3rd special to our chef specials and a 4th special on the weekends. We have tailored the menus to primarily include residents' favorites and enhance the culinary experience. Freshness and product quality is the utmost important to us, and it is our continued goal to get back to pre-pandemic operations and product availability. Therefore, we have explored alternate avenues to obtain some of the similar products that we were used to. We recently engaged in agreements with new vendors to help alleviate some of the shortages and distribution issues. Due to the continued challenges causing compressive dining, we kindly ask and adhere to the following guidelines. We anticipate compression dining will be alleviated when the bistro opens in January of 2022. And some of the things that all of us need to realize: avoid to-go ordering during peak meal times of 12 to 1:30 p.m. and 5 to 6:30 p.m. Meal delivery is available from 7 to 4:45. Please make reservations for tables of 5 or more. No reservation is required for parties of 4 or less. Parties of 7 or less are allowed per table. For parties 8 to 10, please contact Sarah Faust for a reservation in the private dining room. The dining services team is devoted to the steadfast commitment to creating bold recipes and interesting flavors, expert presentation, and memorable dining experiences for you to deserve, that you deserve. Thank you for placing your trust and confidence in the Westminster Dining Services team. Sincerely, Chuck. And I realize that this has really affected my favorite store. The dollar store is now going to be the $1.50 store. Also, I think about every time I go into the dining room for breakfast or lunch or dinner, I see the smiling faces of the waiters, the wait staff, and I know you've seen Sarah and Brian and Cynthia and Felipe filling in when needed. And I think the staff has really, they haven't changed. You can tell they enjoy making us happy. So I'd like to bring this up, and when, I know you're all familiar with the star cards, but when you have someone that you think has gone over and above, fill out one of these. It's really appreciated by the staff. And not only the dining room staff, but if you've had your TV fixed, your whatever, send us a star card for them if they pleased you. I know they appreciate it. Well, I think that's all I have to go to, and I've put some of these on the table in the back if you would like to pick some up and make some of their associates happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bobby. The next item on the agenda is a report by the Dress Code Committee, and Camille Miller is the chair. Camille.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I know this is what you've all been waiting for. I thought about, he's waiting for it.
I am.
I thought about asking Dan to do a drum roll, but that'd be a little dramatic, wouldn't it? Yeah.
He's asleep.
Oh. I am Camille Miller. I'm chair of this committee, and the way the committee gets appointed is that Boyd nominates and the resident executive committee approves. And so when I was being nominated as the chair, Boyd informed me for the first time. I got it because I was the only one that would accept it. And honestly, this has not been a hard committee. It's the definitions and the survey process, which is not actually a legitimate survey process, but more like a straw poll. We had a fabulous response. And so you all should have received a letter and then a front and back handout, and there are some on or there were, I'm not sure if there's still some back there, when you come in. But the 177 people turned in their survey, their questionnaire, out of 358 that were delivered, and that's a 49% participation rate, which I'm told is very high for, what is your normal participation rate?
On surveys?
On surveys?
Low 30s.
Low 30s. So this does show that you are interested and you care, and we appreciate that. The committee, Boyd Taylor was on the committee. Bobby Collins, the food committee chair that you just heard, and Cynthia Leach. Where are you, Cynthia? And Cynthia Leach. So would you all three stand and let people see who you are? The effective date of this will be upon approval. And so I thought, rather than summarizing, if you have it, if you'll go over it with me, this is the actual 5 points language that you will be voting on. And a little more background is that the last time that the dress code was visited by the Residents Association and voted on
was in 2012, so we're coming up on 10 years. It's been, this current one has been in effect for 9 years. So the first item is number 1, general guidelines and expectations. Dress as if you were a guest in someone else's home. Residents tend to dress up more at dinner than at lunch, especially in the Laurel. Breakfast is casual, and please observe the no-no set out in paragraph 2 at all times, and this is right under this is paragraph 2. The following are unacceptable in any dining venue at any time, whether dining, picking up to-go orders, or using the coffee refreshment stations: tank tops, cutoffs, short shorts, bathing suits, bathrobes, dressing gowns, revealing exercise attire, and hats must be removed to dine. So those are the no-nos at all times. Number 2, regarding shorts, we had a lot of input, including people writing things about writing things and verbally calling and talking to different committee members. And I appreciate every call and every letter or comment that was given. Shorts. Bermuda walking shorts may be worn at breakfast and lunch or when using the coffee refreshment stations in any dining venue, but not during dining hours or at holiday meals.
Dinner hours.
During dinner hours.
You said dining.
She's on the committee and she catches every word. She's great. She's good to have on your
Don't want
committee.
it to be confused.
Dinner hours begin at 4 p.m. So the traditional dress, the more formal dress, begins at 4 p.m. But shorts may also be worn when picking up to-go orders. And I just called Sarah this morning to double check on that. And she said, you can be perfectly comfortable in your shorts and casual dining anytime you're picking up, because that picking up station is right outside, right inside the dining room. So that is fine. Number 3, rules for children. Children ages 12 and older are to have attire similar to that expected of adults. And the rules in paragraph 2 apply to all children regardless of all ages. So we don't want them in tank tops and short shorts in particular. Number 4, family and guests. The dress code applies to your family and guests. Please notify them of these guidelines so that they may bring or wear proper attire. And one of the things that Sarah is going to do and provide in the dining room is a little one-pager, maybe a small card. It's not really designed yet, but that can be handed out to people. And they will watch for people that don't know about the rules or have family or friends that show up inappropriately, and they will not embarrass by interrupting your dinner or whatever, but try to catch you ahead of time and give you a chance to go back and change clothes if that's an issue. And then for special events, theme meals and outdoor events will have announcements with suggested attire, but the rules in paragraph 2 still apply for all the time. And then you have the summary of the straw poll on the back. And we're very pleased that we were able to just take from the straw poll and very consistently, an easy way to remember is that it's casual for breakfast and casual for lunch, and at 4 o'clock, then it's traditional, more formal wear. And that is applying not only now for the Laurel immediately once it goes into effect, but when the bistro comes on in January, that will be our dress code as well. So, I want to see now if, well, I need to make a motion. As chair of the committee, I make a motion that we accept this proposed dress code.
Is there a second? Max, I think, seconded. All right, I think now we'll open the floor for discussion or questions.
Anyone have questions or comments? Yes, sir. Can we get a microphone to him, please? I can't see him. Could you identify who you are?
Bill Sluice.
Oh, yeah, Phil.
I talk pretty loud.
Bill.
I don't have it in front of me, but one thing that jumped out, I fully support the rules as laid out. I believe in the last dress code, there was mention of collared shirts in the evening. I didn't see any mention of that, or I don't recall. Am I forgetting something, or was it not in there?
It's not in there.
It's not in this one.
Right.
And generally, no t-shirts, which would mean collared shirts, would be.
It's not on the no-no list.
Right.
Does it prohibit t-shirts in the evening? I forget.
It only prohibits the things that are in the list in paragraph 2, Bill.
That didn't include t-shirts, did it?
It did not.
Okay, just for clarification, thank you.
Okay? Yes, ma'am.
What about women's knit shirts?
Can we get a microphone, please? Could you
What
say?
about women's knit collarless shirts? That look like, sort of like t-shirts, short sleeve.
They're fine.
collarless shirts.
The only, I think you should explain again that the only dress that, well, this dress code is, it just prohibits the things that we consider to be, that the committee felt to be objectionable. The rest of the dress is up to the individual's decision, and we're not saying what you should wear. We're saying the few things that we don't think are acceptable. We trust our residents to do what's appropriate the rest of the time, but you're not going to be called out for wearing a knit dress if you're a lady. It's not on the list of a no-no, then we trust your good judgment.
Another question over here? Or comment? Anyone else?
She called the question?
Yes.
The question has been called. Motion is to adopt the dress code as presented. The one that was presented in your cubbies had one sentence left out, which is in the copy that Camille read to you about hats must be removed during, hats and caps must be removed during the meal. So we're voting on the dress code with that section, with that sentence included. So all in favor of adopting the new dress code, please say aye. Aye. Are there opposed? Thank you very much. The dress code is adopted. Thank you. Thank you all. So, I haven't told the obligatory joke yet, so I will now. We have time. So there was an executive director of a facility, not this one, but somewhat similar, and he died, and he went to heaven, and St. Peter invited him into his office, looked his name up on the computer, and he said, well, we have a tough problem with you. It's not all favorable, it's not unfavorable. In this kind of case, we leave it up to you whether you'd rather go to heaven or to hell. And the ED said, or I'll call him Ed, said, well, I don't know, I guess heaven. He said, well, before you make a decision, why don't you check out both of them? And so Ed said, okay. So he said, go down to hell and tell Satan I sent you. So he went on the elevator, he went down to to hell, and Satan met him there, smiling, shook his hand. He said, "A lot of your friends are here." And he looked over, and there was this beautiful golf course, and a lot of his acquaintances, also executive directors were there. They were playing golf, they were drinking bourbon, they were having such a good time, running around in their golf carts, and afterwards they had a big elaborate dinner at the country club, and it was just so much fun seeing all of his old friends. So he went back up, and the next day he got to try out heaven, and he spent the day sleeping on a cloud and listening to the harp music, and he thought to himself, you know, this isn't what I'm used to. And so he went back to see Satan, and Satan said, "Well, have you decided, Ed?" And he said, "Well, you know, it's a strange to think, but I'm choosing hell." And St. Peter said, "Well, that's your decision. Take the elevator and go back down." So he descended in the elevator. He opened the elevator door opened, and there was Satan looking at him. And he looked around, and everywhere he looked, it was just trash and garbage and awful, awful stuff. And all of his old friends were picking up trash and putting them in bags. And he turned to Satan and he said, "What happened?" He said, "Yesterday, when I was here, it was all country club and steaks and wine and food, and everybody was so happy." And Satan said, "Well, yesterday we were recruiting you. Today you're an employee." So, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our executive director, Chuck Marston.
So I always like to start off with a little humor. And this has been resident submitted, so it's okay, right? It's about elderly gentlemen. Two senior gentlemen were sitting on a bench. One says to the other, "At our age, what would you rather have, Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's?" The other gentleman says, "Parkinson's disease. Better to spill half an ounce of scotch than to forget where you put the bottle." Same gentleman. "Slim, I'm 83 years old now, and I'm just full of aches and pains. I know you're about my age. How do you feel?" Slim says, "I feel just like a newborn baby." "Really? Like a newborn baby?" "Yep, no hair, no teeth, and I think I just wet my pants." All right. I want to thank you all sincerely for being so cooperative and supportive during this pandemic. I know it's been hard on all of us. I'm tired of wearing this mask too. I'm really alive underneath that mask. About every senior living community in Austin's had an outbreak. And you really have kept each other safe. We've really done a really good job in keeping COVID Delta variant out of here. We had a small outbreak in healthcare with a few residents, but it quickly stopped. The associates have worked really hard this year and last year trying to protect all of us. So we've had 36 cases. Most have recovered, no active cases amongst our residents at this time. We've had 53 cases amongst our associates. Currently we have 2 active cases, and they're light symptoms, thankfully. One of our associates ended up in the hospital previously, but other than that, we've been really, really good shape. We haven't lost anyone. Total tested, we've tested over 11,000 times since this all began back in March of 2020. Our infection rate's 1.1%. I'm proud to report that our residents are at 99.7% vaccinated. And our associates are 94% fully vaccinated. The other 5% will be fully vaccinated. So we'll be at 99.7% by October the 15th. We are still we're in stage 4. Austin's upgraded us, but we're still maintaining precautions. Everyone still needs to wear your mask when you're outside of your home, outside of your apartment home, and when receiving services in your home, regardless of vaccination status. And I think if you talk to some others around town, I think this is one of the things that has kept us safest. And I know I implemented it early, and some of you were reluctant, but you really participated and you really did what you should have done, and that's wearing your mask. And I think it's kept all of us safe, so I thank you for that. We are still restricting visitors to 2 per resident. We're not going to allow guests in the dining rooms for right now. Transportation services are really limited to essential trips to the grocery store. Activities involving transportation off campus are still going to be canceled. We'll reduce these restrictions and precautions once Austin achieves stage 3, which the numbers are trending in the right direction. Once that happens, then we'll remove the restrictions on visitation. We'll start allowing guests in the dining room again, so hopefully soon. Please make sure that you stay home if you're ill. Even if you think you have really bad allergies, don't take the chance, okay? We are allowing visitation in the healthcare center now. It's limited visitation, much like it is in independent living. 2 guests per resident per day, but we're happy to get back to that level. We will have booster clinics for all the vaccines when they're approved, as they're approved. So far, the vaccine booster has been approved for Pfizer. So we'll be offering Pfizer booster vaccines in Harrisville Hall on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of October. So if you're a resident that received the Pfizer vaccine back in December and January when we were giving them out, you can come up here and get your booster vaccine. I would ask that you bring your vaccine card, and we'll document right on the vaccine card that you received the booster. Anybody here younger than 65? All right, then you're all qualified to get the vaccine booster. All of the associates are qualified as well and will be required to as a condition of employment. Most of them are asking how soon can they get it, so they'll be at the same time, 13th, 14th, 15th. We do have flu clinics going on. Most of you probably know that already. There is another clinic tomorrow. The clinics are 1:30 to 4:40 in the solarium. And just a reminder, we do have all of the vaccine that we need for all of the types of vaccine, but we haven't received direction yet or guidelines on the Moderna. So the Pfizer vaccine starts to decline, and right now the Moderna really stays pretty stable, so they have not approved a booster for it yet. But once they do, then we'll be able to offer it here. Construction update. We are making progress, as you heard while we're trying to have our meeting downstairs, which I just texted them and they stopped like that. So I'm proud of them for that. We're getting a lot of cool things. I'm not going to go over all this, but most of this area is going to open up in April, right around my birthday, around the April 4th. Just happenstance, I didn't plan it that way. The bistro should be opening at the end of, we'll have it in our hands, our possession, around middle of December. And then they'll move in the furniture and the equipment, and then we will ask for an occupancy permit, from the city of Austin, and they'll come in and do inspection, and hopefully we'll get that, and we'll be able to actually open it for business on January the 4th. That's the plan. Bistro configuration looks a lot like this. Those things in the middle are banquettes that there's a lot of controversy over, almost as much as the dress code, but not quite. And this was very, very subtle, this meeting today, and it was an example of democracy in action, and I'm so proud of you. That being said, I understand why the executive director gave it away in 1971, and I'll never take it back. So thank you for your work on the dress code. The Windsor Cafe, or we will be calling it the Bistro. We're no longer going to call it the Healthy Options Cafe. That is also, yes, or the abbreviation HO Cafe. We're not going to do that either. Your letters have worked, have convinced me that that's the wrong thing to do. We will call it the Bistro.
Democracy in action.
Yay. Democracy in action, right? The new space, just in case you've missed some meetings, we do get a new salon, we get a group exercise space, you can see there. A new nurse practitioner clinic, wellness clinic, a new fitness gym, and a wonderful new therapy rehabilitation gym, one of the best in the country, certainly in the state of Texas. So lots of exciting stuff coming with this Windsor expansion. And a lot of exciting things coming with the Carlisle. Another restaurant, a lounge, another lobby, more meeting space for residents, an assisted living, memory care assisted living. Really great amenities for all of you to enjoy. And it seemed like it was really far off. And I can tell you that I'm working on the 2022 budget, and it's not far off at all. It's coming. We're adding full-time employees to staff this new building the last quarter of next year, and I'm planning for it now. So a lot of work is going into this expansion. We're having our first charter member event on site. This is for those folks that have apartments that they've already put 10% deposits down on in the Windsor expansion, so the expansion, the infill tower. And those residents are gonna be here on the 6th, and we're gonna actually tour them through their apartment homes. So preparing them to move in April and May, I hope, of next year. So you will notice a change to this schedule. And we were thinking that the tower crane was gonna be removed in late September, and the crane company themselves have not been able to remove it, so they've scheduled that for the end of October now. You should notice by the 15th of October that the work on the infill tower facing the courtyard will be finished, which is good news. That allows them to start releasing more of the courtyard to us. Almost all of it should be released to us before April. Harrisville Hall is going to be shut down November and December of this year. We should be getting it back near the end of December. Actually, they're saying the 21st. I don't like to tell you that because I like to underpromise and overachieve, but that's the goal. And the reason we're having to shut it down is so that we can knock down this wall and put the rooms together and then do all the interiors work. So I've talked to Ruth, we'll be moving some activities around. We'll use the outside venues, we'll use solarium, we'll use the dining room. I think our tree lighting ceremony will probably take place along with a theme meal near the dining room, where we'll light the tree in the Preston courtyard. So it's gonna be a lovely event still, and we're still gonna have a great time through the holidays as we always do. So hang in there. This is what the building looks like probably a week ago, and more is happening. They're putting more and more of the walls up, the stud work for the walls in the Carlisle. They're on the 3rd floor now and moving up slowly. This is what the Windsor infill tower looked like last week, and they're putting brick up and doing the work on the facade, making a lot of progress. 2021 has been a good year for Westminster overall. We've made a lot of achievements, a lot of goals that we've set for ourselves. We're 5-star rated for the 13th year in our Arbor Healthcare Center. It's unheard of. We were able to, whether you knew it or not, we were able to refinance the construction loan on this expansion to 3.38%, saving us $40 million over the life of the mortgage, compared to the feasibility study that we did just prior to financing. And it was, I've never refinanced a construction project, so it was fun. I've lost a little hair over it, but we made it through, and that's really 3.38%. That's phenomenal, and it's tax exempt bonds.
That's a fixed rate.
That is fixed rate. Deficiency free, we just last week had our licensure survey for assisted living, and we were deficiency free again, and that is 10 years in a row, and nobody does that anymore. Really. And thank you all for your support for our Alzheimer's fundraising. We've raised over $75,000 to fight Alzheimer's. Thank you for that. So a few projects going on around the campus, and there'll be more to come, I'm afraid. Preston boiler project, we're still at permitting, so what we're planning on doing there is we're putting a boiler system up on the roof of the Preston building and removing some dated boilers. That's still the city permitting process, and if anybody's been through the Austin permitting process, you know that that's a hard road to hoe. It's working, we're working on it. Emergency planning and system evaluation is ongoing. I'm continuing to work on that. I just received a bid recently for upsizing the Windsor and the Preston generators. The board voted to upsize the Carlisle generator so that it serves the entire building for several days. So if we ever have a winter storm again, and when we ever lose power, we can power ourselves the full building for up to 7 days. And it's the goal to do that for the Windsor and Preston building as well. Really, the board is forward thinking when it comes to protecting all of us, all of you. Chiller issues on the Windsor. Hopefully you didn't notice that there were any chiller issues on the Windsor. We had a mobile chiller that was sitting out there. It's kind of ugly, but I thought it was cool looking, but you know, I'm a guy, so. We have resolved those issues. They have tested the chiller, it works well, so that'll actually be moved off-site again. And the air conditioning and the issues in the kitchen, they have a temporary unit back there, and it's in shipping. We've ordered it, and as soon as it arrives, we'll be installing it. Like Mrs. Collins said, you know, we're all suffering from supply problems. The marketing department sold almost all of our apartments, but we can't close on them because we're waiting on appliances and sheetrock and paint. We had to send a pickup truck the other day to San Antonio to pick up paint. So we're, you know, there's a lot of things going on. We're trying to work around shortages. With regard to food delivery and us getting only 3 deliveries now instead of 6, there's a shortage of about 25% of it. Oh, they didn't listen. Worked for a little while. That's probably my guys, actually. About 25% shortage of truck drivers. That's about 60,000 truck drivers short. So there's actually, and you may have heard this, there's ships sitting out in the bay with containers on them. Some of them have our products that we need, but they can't unload them because they don't have truckers to take it away. So we're having a lot of issues like that. And the team's really working hard to resolve them. And they've done a good job, especially last year, ordering ahead of time and really getting all the PPE that we needed and the gloves and things like that, and they've all worked really hard for that. We have engaged an AV consultant for Harrisville Hall, so this room and our in-house channel. We're looking at improving things, so maybe a monitor instead of this screen so you can actually see what I'm putting up there would be good. How many have problems with that? Yeah. We'll be applying for a liquor license for our dining venues. No controversy over that? Love it, great. Yay! Okay, so the reason I'm telling you about that is because there will be some signage put up that's required by the state of Texas and the authority. And for 60 days, you'll be able to call in and complain about us getting a liquor license. I would ask you not to do that so that we can actually get one to serve you. I think you'll be a lot happier if we had one. Not because you're gonna be, you know, wasted or anything, but just because we'll be able to provide you wine and pour for you, It won't affect the social hours that we have and those types of things. We can still give it away. The nice thing about Westminster is we have all these venues that can be separately permitted. So we'll have a unique permit for each restaurant, so that you have a place that you can bring your own if you wish, the bistro, and then you'll have a place that you can get a full cocktail, or wine, beer, whatever. That'll be at the Carlisle. And then at the Preston, the Laurel will most likely have just a wine and beer license, okay? And we're working on that. It's a complicated process too. We're also gonna be doing an LED lighting project in the fourth quarter of this year for the Windsor building. And the reason we're doing that is because we have some Windsor lighting fixtures in the corridors that are damaged. The lenses need to be replaced. Well, guess what? It costs more to replace the lens, if you can find the lens, than it does to put in an LED retrofit kit. So that's where we're moving forward with the LED retrofit, which we did on the Preston building. It worked out really well and actually saved us a few $1,000s a year in lighting costs. So we'll be working on that. Also, keyless entry system is coming soon. I just signed off on the bid for that a couple weeks ago, and this will allow you to use your key fob to open your door. We can also track who comes and goes through your door using key fobs, and then we can unlock your door from the desk. So we can, so if you lock your keys in, we can let you in. We also installed polycarbonate sheets on the pavilion in the Windsor courtyard, the pavilion, the pergola, and this has been a resident request for quite some time. I was working on it. Mrs. Leach, thank you for finding a vendor that was less expensive than anything I could find, actually.
It really looks nice.
It does look nice, and we saved about $30,000 over the And that is all I have. Thank you all very much for making this place a wonderful place to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chuck, for that report. And thank you all again for attending this meeting. Our next meeting will be the first Monday in December for our annual membership meeting. What I've heard today is, I don't know where we'll be meeting, but we'll let you know. Maybe we'll meet in the courtyard, I don't know. We'll find a place. Yes?
Boy, right here.
You're gonna meet right, yes.
I forgot to mention that there is a community table in the dining room. I don't know if I think I can shout. Can everybody hear me? Oh, they can? Okay. There is it on?
It was.
Hello?
Let me try it again.
Here we go.
I just had to hit it enough times.
There is a community table in the dining room, and if you don't want to eat by yourself, or you would like some good fellowship, all you need to do is tell Sarah when you come in that you'd like to sit at the community table, and she'll direct you there. So I think that's a good addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby, for that. So again, thank you all for coming, and enjoy the music. Carol and Dan are gonna play, and there's food and wine in the corner over there. So that's the end of the business meeting. Now we'll adjourn to the social hour. Thank you again.
Chuck.